afternoon, Speed Gaming, and welcome to another Super Metroid Item Randomizer League match. Today we have Traffic Talks from Tales of the Dreaded Metroid versus Azure from Shaktool's Digging Game. My name is Tracy M. With me today is Plumpst. How you doing, Plumpst?
Hi, doing well.
All right, so we got another matchup from the redesign division, named such because Azure being the top redesign player. So had to make sure his division was named that, and here we go. Let's talk a little about boss order. So what does that bring us?
So in a boss rando, I mean the logic is it's normal, major, minor. But in this case, there's guaranteed to be at least 2 of the bosses swapped. Sometimes it could be 3, even all 4. I actually kind of like the dynamic that brings, just because there are several locations and item that are locked by defeating bosses.
So you could get Fantoon at Kraid, and then the wreck ship opens. Or if you go to the wreck ship and it's not Fantoon, then you actually can't get any items there. Kraid also opening an additional item at the E-Tank location, Dragon and Plaza Beam. So yeah, all sorts of definitely interesting possibilities. We do see a Morph Ball as our first item. Of course, the first item has to be either one of the first 2 items has to be a Morph Ball. In this case, it's at the vanilla location, and we'll see what's in the ceiling. But we'll see the ammo items first. Just a missile pack so far. Hopefully this won't be one of those late power bombs or late super seeds. And what do we got in the ceiling? A reserve tank.
Oh.
Trevor Toss decides to pick it up. Azure was setting up for the D-boost. I think he's going to skip it. I think that's a fine call. Azure good enough to do hell runs with 1 less tank if it comes to it. The reserve tank is logical for hell runs, and of course 4 is the kind of the magic number to get those in logic. But Azure's capable of doing it with fewer. He is going to at least check this other ammo item. He's also known to keep going this direction, but I don't think he will without a super. Trevor Tuck's also going to check the ammo item. I feel like the ideal loadout for continuing that direction is a super, a power bomb, and an E-tank, so that you don't get murdered by the side hoppers there. I mean, you want the super pack because you want to be able to open up the get the wave gate item. All right, gonna see what's behind Old Mother Brain. It is yet another missile pack. We'll see if either one of these runners checks 230 missiles. That's another place that first super pack could be.
Yeah, we normally don't see supers be... We don't see it buried that deep just because it can't be anywhere past the spore spawn. But normally, at least from what I've seen, runners tend to just check every location besides a Billy Maze, of course. Because that is technically possible for the first logical supers.
Yeah, some of the worst possibilities. So Billy Maze is one. The Green Hills pipe could be the first supers. That's kind of a forced Green Hills route, but we see him at 230, and it looks like Travertok's also going to check that, so that's going to be a weight off the runner's mind. The trolley late super pack, not nearly as common as the trolley late power bomb pack, because like you said, there's just only so many places we can put it. But I did play a practice seat where my first supers were at spore spawn, so it can happen. And had a hard required spore spawn fight in it. And now on to the next major check, Bomb Chorizo. And just an E-Tank. That's actually our first E-Tank of the game, so that's a welcome state.
Well, to answer chat, yeah, the race yesterday was probably the latest we've seen.
For this season, for sure.
Yeah. It was notorious. I think the first season of League,
Yeah,
just of how logic worked. If it's slow logic, they would often put like PBs at a cathedral.
yeah. Those PBs in Cathedral Seas were just god awful, and I think it's. I mean, we do still have slow logic. We only took out slowest, but I'm happy that we have not seen that location yet this season. So. And we do see a speed booster early, so that'll be nice. They'll be able to check Waterway on their first go through. They won't have to. In fact, it'll be their only go through the Brinstar area because they have that speed booster. Definitely a nice early find.
Yeah, it gives them access to a ship as well if they choose to check that ship and gauntlet if they can do the short charge.
Yeah, I would say easy access to ship because, of course, CWJ being in Logic, both these runners capable of doing that if they wanted to. Looks like Azure was going to go for the mock ball there and then remember, oh my god, early gravity suit. But then remember he has speed booster.
I kind of like seeing this early grav, at least compared to Varia, just because at least it gives the runners a lot more options on where to go. Because at this point, the Varia could be pretty much anywhere.
Yep, anywhere but the usual lower Norfair locations. I like the gravity suit in this mode in particular. If the runners decide to go up to the wreck ship, which is what I did in my race, with almost this exact situation. Of course, I had a grapple beam instead of a speed booster. But what I like about that play here is that no matter what, you gain something. So either it's a boss you can kill. We can kill Dragon. Probably will have more E-tanks to make it a little more viable and maybe some more ammo. And of course, you can always do Fantoon and Kraid. But even if it's Ridley, then that knowledge of it being Ridley, I think, is super valuable. Because now when you go down towards Norfair, you can just go straight to the Kraid area because you know it's going to be a boss you can beat. X-ray scope maybe is useful. That'll be a to be determined. Let's see if they get the charge plasma combination that makes that a good item. Travertax jumps over. We'll see if he picks it up on the way out or if he decides to avoid it. He does not want.
Not sure if you want to jump down.
Yeah. Here's a case where skipping the item is going to cost him a ton more time than picking it up would have. Obviously, he didn't mean to fall in here, but it's very hard to jump over that item and not fall in the pit. So Azure's going to get a bit of an advantage here from that. We'll see if Travertas chooses to check the ammo item here. At least that might get him something good. If this is a super or power bomb. It is a super. So, I mean, that is at least something for his troubles. Looks like Azure got his wave gate. And we'll see what's behind it.
It's cute.
Screw attack. That's a nice item. Make things a lot more cozy when they go down to lower Norfair.
Yeah, it helps a lot as well if it looks like the E-tank situation is kind of low, but if this had Duhao runs, it makes going through like Bulb Mountain quite a lot simpler.
Yep. Yeah, looks like Travertax's going to get there. Looks like for a second there he was in the Chozo mindset and he was going to go backdoor Spore Spawn, but realized pretty quickly that no, that's not where I want to go.
And we see a Spazer Beam at charge, and that'll
Yeah,
be
I
interesting
think
decision for them.
Yeah, I think Azure picks that up on his way out. Like at this point, no, without a plasma beam, I think you pick that up. Yep, and there it is. Okay, now headed over to Red Tower, and where the next decision point will come. Okay, and to answer your question, chat, I don't expect either one of these guys to do the early X-ray check. Azure is definitely perfectly capable of doing it. It wouldn't surprise me if Travertox was as well. But with this loadout, not in logic. There are ways for it to be in logic without grapple or space jump, but we don't see that here. And it looks like Azure's just going to go straight down. And realize that Travertox had done the charge beam in the waterway before getting his screw attack. He comes back and gets it. Now let's see what Spazer has for us. Ice beam. Of course, a nice pickup will help in Turian. Mainly at this point, that's the main reason you want it, and it does make the beam stronger. Because we already have speed to get through Meridia. And Travertech's starting to turn down ammo already. Not a huge fan of that before Charge Beam.
Yeah, I'd like to get up to at least maybe around like 30 missiles before I start consciously skipping at least missile packs.
Yeah, as you're going to go all in on this Ice Beam Hell Run. 2 tanks is enough to do it. He's capable of doing it, but this is a little bit scary. Yeah, Gravity Suit actually is a little bit of a help here, just because when you fall into the lava there, you can still move pretty decently. I like the way he laid that power bomb so that he could get some extra drops from the Novas there, and a space jump. That's a really nice movement item.
Yeah, it won't be that, I guess I should say, useful since they have speed booster, but it's always a great.
Yeah,
it's a good
I actually
combo
disagree
with
because Space Jump Screw Attack is really powerful together. Now, right, if we're gonna do Hell Runs, get into Bubble Mountain with Speed Booster. But a room like getting Wave Beam, it just makes things a lot easier. Right now, Azure really is in no shape to do those Hell Runs. Only 2 tanks. And only 86 health. So I expect that if this is not an E-tank, he's going to have a choice to make. I don't think the Hell Runs will be in logic with another tank because of that reserve tank he didn't pick up. But he may choose not to do it. And we see a charge beam. So we're a various suit away from a go mode. Although not really necessarily a comfy go mode.
Yeah, and it's definitely quite nice for Charge to be there for the runners, just because now it's really just gonna be purely dependent on their movement and the decisions they make when figuring out where they think Vera is.
Okay, as you're going to go ahead and take a save here. And it's going to be a decision time for him. What does he want to do? Like, this 2 tanks is not going to get through any of the Hell Runs that he'd have to do right now. So he's probably going to, maybe he might check the boss. Or maybe he's going to go this, okay. A little surprised here.
I mean, I can say that one thing that I've noticed specifically from Aster is that he is very good at least like save scumming, because
Yes.
he definitely thinks about his plays quite far in advance. So I've seen him reset from like a very far like check to save lots of time.
Oh, absolutely. He knows when the good places, where the good places to save are, and when to reset. And he's gonna go all in on these. He did take a crystal flash to get his health up. And Travertech's gonna do the same thing. These Hell Runs are not in logic for either one of them, so we don't have that 4th E-tank yet. But really interesting that they're both making that same choice.
Oh,
Okay, now we see an E-tank.
It looks like Trav just didn't do the ice beam check yet. There's a space jump.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, he did the. Looks like he did the high jump boots spot first. I personally like to do, if I have enough health to do ice beam, I like to do that first, just simply because it allows the possibility of an E-tank. at high jump boots to make the hell runs valuable. I would like to see Travatax turn that ice beam off for that farm though. Azure too. Neither one of them has. Oh, Azure's just switching to supers. That works too. Trying to farm with ice beam is just really not really slow, but slow enough that it matters. In a hell run, in a variolous situation. Azure not wanting to menu, so he's using his ammo instead. The problem with that is, and now there's, well, the supers is fine, since dropping supers does not affect dropping health, and he's got full missiles. And we're just gonna see an E-tank here. I don't think he even checked the ammo item, but at this point with Charge Beam, really need to. And
yeah, chat also oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I was saying the chat also making an interesting comment about neither runner went over to crate at least to see what boss was there. So we have still no information about where, I mean, possible boss swap or any of the bosses are.
Yep. So the other thing I like, I don't know where Travatax saved. I don't know if he saved just at the beginning over near High Jump Boots, or if he saved at Bubble Mountain. But one of the things I like is in Azure's case, he's only picked up E-tanks. So even if this item turns out to be nothing, he can still just reset back to his business center save. And he might, because this is another E-tank. I mean, you could keep it and have 5 E-tanks, which isn't terrible either. Or he could just reset and lose his stuff, which, I mean, he got a couple of supers out of it, which is nice, but he's got Charge Beam, so he doesn't really need it. So it'll be interesting to see what decision he makes. He's thinking about it. He was thinking about it. He says, I don't need those E-tanks.
I also feel like this would be a play you make if you decide to skip Croc, but we'll see. Yeah, and he is. He's going left. He's not going to go to Croc.
I love the glowing Novas there. And Travatax is going to go to Croc. The nice thing for Azure is he can get to Croc anytime he wants just by going through the vanilla direction through the hallway through ice. At this point, he's going to go check out the Kraid boss. And we'll see what's there. We'll get our first piece of the puzzle in terms of the boss order, or the bosses required. And unless this is Ridley, he's going to be able to do this fight. It's not a very nice fight health-wise if it's Dragon, but it's definitely a doable fight. You might see him farm up, or no, he just wants to see what the boss is. Okay.
Yeah, that seems smart because if it's the 2 easy ones, he has no problem with that.
I mean, as your new Outrunner is used to doing this with 1 tank and no suits, but Gravity Suit is very powerful in this fight, so. And being that this is Fantoon, it means it's going to incentivize him for going up to the wreck ship and clear that. And just an E-tank at Croc. So one more shot for Travatax to get something out of this.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of the color change, at least for Fantoon here.
Yeah.
Actual red flames. Pretty clean 3-rounder.
So there's also there are different palette swaps you can do with the barrier randomizer, and one of them is just to do a palette swap on the enemies. It looks like that's what Azure's done here, and we've seen some really cool colors come out of that. It will be interesting to see if Azure chooses to check any of Meridia on his way over towards the wreck ship.
Yeah, I'm thinking Mama Turtle at least is worth it. But again, Azure might again he could have a decision of like save scumming somewhere in Meridia and then checking some ship locations. If ship is empty, he can teleport right back to Meridia.
Yeah, I think it's highly likely that the ship has something given the Vantoon location, but we'll see. But yeah, what you say is valid. It wouldn't surprise me if he did something like that.
Let's see if Travitox is able to find something at grab.
Spring
Oh,
Ball.
Spring Ball.
Um, Spring Ball's a nice item, but given that we know where Space Jump is, although Travertax having not picked that up yet, we'll probably pick it up on his way out. Not as valuable once you have that Space Jump, because the places where Spring Ball really shines is in Suitless Meridia, which we don't have because we've got our gravity suit already, and doing certain Spring Ball jumps that make it easier to get up places. And we see bombs. Azure does decide to pick those up at Mama Turtle. We'll see where he goes next. And we'll see where Travertox goes next. I gotta believe Travertox checks the ice beam location so long as he hasn't forgotten it. A little unfortunate that he hasn't done it already, because now he has to kind of go a little bit longer out of his way to get back over there. Nope, Azure's going to at least do a sandpit check. If not actually try and full clear Meridia. I like the choice of taking the save here regardless. If it turns out that Ridley's sitting there in Dragon's spot, then he can't do this fight. You just can't do that with just two tanks. I don't know what the minimum number you need to have a shot at defeating Ridley there, or at any location really, is, but 2 tanks is definitely not enough.
Well, I mean, grab and screw attack would help there, but yeah, even with the supers fight, you need, say, at minimum 4, if not 5.
Wow, that's like 4 E-tanks he's reset. You don't see that very often. I mean, he's a good enough player that he doesn't need he's going to need at least one more at some point, but he's good enough in general that he doesn't need all those.
Well, there definitely makes sense just because there's nothing for him to go below, and going back to where he is, Aqueduct from Sampit is a very long journey.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, I know also normally, I think, at least if it's normal major minor, checking Sampit is often not the greatest idea because you'd rather check that later, but here it's fine just because of the boss rando.
Yeah, I think if it had been something he wanted to keep, then maybe he goes back to the wreck ship. Instead, we're going to see him go towards the boss here. 2/3 of a chance that he can actually defeat the boss. Travertox doing his last check in the Bubble Mountain area. This would have been a really difficult check for him with the loadout he had before, with Spring Ball and Ice. Oh, yeah, actually, no, he had Ice before, so he could have done it with Ice, but gets there a little bit more, a few more choices, I guess, would be the way to put it. We see Wave Beam. So essentially full new route beam combo. And I think this will be a reset back to Aqueduct if this is anything, or sorry, if this is Ridley, I think we see a reset back to Aqueduct.
Yeah, right now Travitox is behind, but he has a little more information. Considering what he's seen, at the very least, he probably will be checking some parts of Meridia, but I wouldn't be surprised if he went like to ship directly after the Mama.
I would, yeah, hopefully he goes and kills Vantoon first. So we do see a crate here, which opens up a check over in the normal crate area. And Travertox does get his space jump now.
Yeah, crate actually is the most interesting, because again, we still have some locations that are locked, but Probably just because of the sheer density of number he would probably go up to ship. But yeah,
Yeah.
Crady would be that's something that has to be weighing on the players' minds after seeing that. And yeah, true X-ray as well, since that's definitely in logic now with
Oh
the
yeah, for
grapple being
sure.
picked up.
Well, spaceship screw attack
Yeah,
makes it
and
free. You don't
spaceship,
even.
yeah.
So we'll see. I think we see Azure go to wreck ship, clear that until he finds Varia, and unless he finds Varia, and then if he's still missing Varia, then he'll probably check the Kraid closet. There's also Shack Plasma. Actually, it's just Shaktool. We don't have Plasma Beam opening since we have not killed Dragon. But potentially Dragon could be sitting over at the wreck ship, in which case that would give us access to Plasma. But he's going to go on the right sand pit,
Ooh,
which indicates that, well, he's got two choices. This is either a Shaktool play, which is an interesting choice, or he may be choosing just to go towards the Forgotten Highway to get to the wreck ship. He's going to grab
with
these
ammo
supers.
too. Yeah, I mean, probably worth here. No plasma beam, and having 30 supers is nice for the.
Didn't even check the other ammo item, but it's not nearly as free to pick up, so.
Yeah, this definitely does look like a Shaktool play.
This is a Shaktool play. Just pretty much, he's just being. It looks like he's just made the decision to just be really thorough, with the exception of not doing Croc earlier. And I think my guess is knowing his play style, that's just going to be a place that he last locations. Because the old, if my opponent did it, then I'm just behind anyway. And depending on what Traffic Talks decides to do next, we might see both runners at the ship at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, even with full loadout, Shaktool check is very, very slow. So if this does not really have anything useful, Travelox could gain a decent amount of time.
Mm-hmm. And it's just an E-Tank, but I think he's going to grab this one because he doesn't have a good save scum for it. And it does give him the 3 that he needs to finish the game.
Yeah, I think considering his position, he's probably going to route actually Kraid and then X-Ray because of his location.
Yeah, that'd be a fair. He's either going to do. I mean, he might even just go the reverse Forgotten Highway, like RBO routing. That is an option that he has.
Yeah, that's true.
Last season, Sloters went and did a video comparing going through Forgotten Highway to the wreck ship and going in a different direction. And it was discovered to be a little bit faster if you had high jump and space jump. Now we just have space jump, we don't have high jump. But this is not bad either. He can just go and check that Kraid item. It may be weighing on his mind, and it may be that there's just no better time for him to do it. Yeah, we see Travertax checking Mama Turtle. We'll pick up his bombs. And no, we're not going to see the Kraid item. This is a wreck ship play. Actually, it's wreck ship via X-ray. Because otherwise he would go straight up where that tube is.
Yeah, I'm personally a little surprised just because, I mean, there's no best, no other situation. I think it's not that big of a detour. But I guess, I mean, having the logic be that convoluted, the lock X-ray or a barrier there is obviously not that likely.
So I think the issue is that it's going to be the same amount out of the way if he does it later than if he does it now. And it's just one check that he might be able to skip if it's anything but Barrier Suit. Now on the flip side, if it were Barrier Suit and he gets it right now, then he can just ignore the ship. So And it looks like Travertok's also going to bet on the Meridia Voss. Doesn't know that it's Kraid, so we'll pay off for him. And he will also get his wave beam. But right now, if this is a pretty big lead for Azure, I would say that what Travertox needs right now, he actually kind of needs that Kraid E-Tank item to be Varia, and he needs to be checking it. So it'll be interesting to see what decision he makes coming out of the Kraid fight he has coming up. Because Azure's not going to be going to Crocomire. He's done everything else, and everything else and we know the Varia's either got to be at the ship or the Kraid E-Tank. I don't believe I'm forgetting any other locations, unless Dragon's at the wreck ship and Plasma then becomes a possibility. But I can't see him checking Crocomire before any of those locations. So Travertok's not going to gain that time back. Okay, Travertok's about to go into his Kraid fight. Azure going to immediately take the save here so we can check the boss. Looks like this will be a check the boss before clearing the ship. We're down to Ridley and Dragon here, so we'll see which it is. Well, he's going to check the left supers first. And it's just an E-Tank, so that works out well, because if this does turn out to be Ridley, when he resets, he doesn't have to come back for this item. Meanwhile, Travertok's having finished off Kraid. Will make his way out of the Meridia area. I'm not sure he checked the sand pit, so he'll probably do that. Looks like he wanted to go over towards Plasma Beam, but forgetting that door is not going to be open because we have not killed Dragon yet. And this is going to be Dragon. So that is going to open up Plasma Beam as a possible Varia location.
Looks like the right sand pit as well.
Now he may be doing he may be planning on doing the Shaktool check as well. Yeah. No, that's left sand pit. That makes more sense, 'cause I don't think he did the first time. Yeah. So he's at E-Tank. As you're setting up for the quick kill, which is much more difficult on the right side, but he gets it, no problem. Very nice. And we have an E-Tank. But he'll take it because he's still got a pretty low amount. He reset all those E-Tanks at Bubble Mountain. And we have 3 more items in the wreck ship that we can get to. So it's those 3 locations, plus Kraid E-Tank, plus Plasma. One of those has to have our Varia suit.
Ooh, and now Travertok's is indeed gonna check the Shaktool.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him, because that's a time save that would have been good for him.
Yeah, I definitely do like the decision, at least, just because he knows that, I think just the time he spent going to Croc, and not finding anything at all, he probably knows he's behind.
And to be fair, he's probably thinking Azure didn't do this check. And therefore, if this is something, he's going to get a huge advantage. He doesn't know that Azure did do this check, and that it's nothing. And for him, it's even more nothing than it was for Azure, since he's got a lot more E-tanks already. And there's our
There
various
it
suit.
is.
That is go mode for Azure. This is going to be really hard for Travertox to come back from at this point. He really needed to be in a location that he got to first, and it's just not going to happen. Azure now can just go head down to Lower Norfair. This is going to be pretty comfy because, you know, he's got the new route beam combo, plus really the only thing he doesn't have that new route would have would be high jump, but space jump mitigates that a little bit. And screw attack is just overpowered in LN. In fact, I mean, that's what it's meant for, is for going through Lower Norfair. There's a reason why they put it there. So I really like the routing that Azure did. Actually, I mean, honestly, I like Travertox's routing too. It just unfortunately, the extra checks, the extra croc checks, the two real differences, the extra croc checks were a definite time sink for Travertox, but also the way Azure save scummed that whole Bubble Mountain area. And you even said it earlier, that that's one of his real strengths as a randomizer runner, just knowing where the good place is to take those saves in order to get back to where you're going when there's nothing in a location. And he really showed that with that save before heading over to Bubble Mountain and not saving in Bubble Mountain, able to full clear that area and then just reset when it was nothing.
Yeah, I mean, also a minor point for I guess both runners is that it was good that, I mean, after that first reserve, I don't think we've seen a single other reserve. So at least, I mean, health nowhere near a problem.
Yeah, no, these runners are, I mean, these are both new route. Actually, I'm not sure Travertox is new route, but I want to say he is, and just, you know, so very comfortable on this situation right now with so many more E-tanks than you have, plus the new route beam combo. We are going to see a check of the crate item. I do like this choice. It is a reserve tank, unfortunately, and he decides to grab it. I'm a little surprised he decides to grab it. But I do like the choice to come here. Had this been the very location, then Travertox would be... I don't know if he'd be in the lead, because he'd still have to do the wreck ship boss, but it certainly would have been really... It definitely would have made this race tight. Unfortunately, instead, he's got to go do wreck ship and find out that Very is there, and has been there the entire time. Yeah, chat confirming that he is a new route runner, and it has a sub 45. They're pretty equal. Like, these guys have played a lot in tournaments. In fact, one of my favorite tournament races that I've ever called was these two playing in the 2018 any percent tournament, and Azure surprising everybody with his first new route race. So as you would expect, Travertox is going to check X-ray, and this is the right call for him. Like I said, space jump plus screw attack makes this completely free. He's an E-tank. I think at this point it's just hard to avoid it since he already fell through the crumble block, so he's going to pick it up. As you're getting a nice chronic boost. Again, space jump and screw attack showing how nice it is.
Intended strats.
I mean, to be fair, the intended strat in there is space jump with, I guess, pseudo screw, because that's what the game shows you in the intro.
Yeah.
Now, it will be interesting to see if Azure even checks anything at this point. The only items of worth left are high jump and plasma. Neither one is necessary, but the two checks he has left are pretty quick. Fire Fleas and the Ridley item, since we now know for sure that Ridley's down here.
Yeah, like the fact that it's 2 items that help, I think makes it, worthwhile enough, but I wouldn't blame him if he skipped those checks.
Yeah, I think either choice is a good one, to check or to not check in both locations. There's often been an argument as which is faster, checking the Ridley item or checking the Fire Fleas item, because the Fire Fleas doesn't involve any door transitions, but Ridley is just quick one room. And I don't think we ever quite got a consensus on it, although I think it really just came down to what items you had to get out of Fire Fleas. Travertox heading to the ship because that's pretty much all he's got at this point. And the only other check we have is Gauntlet, and of course Gauntlet can't have a suit at this point. There's no other items that would be worth going that far out of the way for. Like he wants to conserve those supers. It's actually not really faster to do this strat. You do this strat when you want to conserve your supers, and he's going to get a few extra ones. I don't think he's going to want to farm supers. He's got the. This is still a better loadout than he'd have in a new route, any percent race. So, because there you'd have a max of 10, assuming you even had all of them. Travertox hitting his Dragon fight. So not counting ammo, this will be a 60-shot fight. For every super, he can avoid 2 charge shots, because each super is 600 damage, double damage on Ridley.
Yeah.
I like that when he's got Ridley in that nice pogo pattern, that he uses his regular missiles. You can get a really high DPS at that point.
Interesting to see how Ridley's going to change color.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like, we're so used to him turning just that red color, and now it's like, whoa, what's it going to look like when he changes colors? I think he might have just changed color. That looks like a slightly different green.
Yeah, big, even sicker green, as China's pointing out.
I don't think Ridley's quite dead yet, but he's getting awfully close. Azur's also agreeing with that assessment. There we go. And that's a dead green Ridley. Meanwhile, Travertox in the Dragon fight. Looks like I didn't quite see what methods he used. Probably a combination of Shine Sparks and ammo. Hey, look, high jump boost. That just made things nicer. So Azure deciding that he does want to check at least one of the 2 items. We'll see if he checks Fire Fleas. Maybe a little less likely, because now there's only 1 item at this point that would help him. Okay, Travertox done with his Dragon fight. We'll be getting his Varia shortly.
I feel like if he had that 7th E-tank, then he might have checked Fire Fleas, but yeah, at this point, probably not worth.
Azur's not a huge proponent of worrying about stand-up glitch. So yeah, I actually don't think that would change anything. I mean, he's not an anti-stand-up glitch. Like, I just don't do it personally, but he definitely is not one of those that will do it every single time either. So heck, sometimes I'll even stay at 6 E-tanks just so that I don't have to get the why didn't you do stand-up glitch question. He's just gonna book it on out of here, and if it turns out Plasma's there, then so be it. Honestly, I'd rather have high jump boots at this point, given the choice of the 2. Just having that extra movement, and especially when you get to the lead ox room, which is the place where I miss high jump the most. Travertox's gonna get that very suit right here. And Travertox is in go mode. Unfortunately, just can be too little too late for Travatox. You really need the Varia to show up either at the Croc area or at the Kraid E-Tank area. If it had been in one of those places, 2 places, and this is a different match.
Yeah, pretty much just unfortunate there's a type of seed where, I mean, if charge or gravity, like, I mean, any other progression was locked somewhere, then at least there'd be more variability, but, I mean, as they're, pretty much play the seed to T, just since you only have to worry about one item location.
Yeah, and this seed really fit his playstyle well with the skips that he tends to like to make. Although again, I wouldn't have called him checking Shaktool, so he can be full of surprises too. He's definitely one of those runners that if you start banking on him doing certain plays, you might get in trouble. And in fact, that's a really good trait to have, because if you always do the same thing and your opponent knows what you always do, that's just going to get you in trouble. Nice screw fall from Travatox there. It's my favorite moonfall when I can get it. It'll be interesting to see if Azure stops the ship. He has plenty of health. 4 supers is okay to start with. Ammo's not great though. Yeah, looks like he's
like
gonna
that
take the
spring
ship
ball
refill.
play from Travatox. Deboosting through the yapping wall.
Yeah, you might as well make use of that spring ball that you got. It's like the one decent item you got, even though it really doesn't do much for him. Alright, Travatox trying to make his best, make it as quick to lower Norfair as he possibly can. As you're making fairly quick work of Metroid Rooms 1. Got a little caught up there at the end, but nice grouping in Metroid's Room 2. Travatox about to enter Lower Norfair. And high jump will also allow Azure to attempt baby skip here. And turn off that screw attack in anticipation of Zeb skip. That's a pretty looking. I like those colors. That baby with the purple and the kind of pinkish red there, and the kind of a washed out aqua teeth or whatever those things are at the bottom. Oh, is he gonna? Oh, he's got caught. Is he gonna crystal flash here and save a little bit of time? He is.
Yeah. I forget that you can do that. I mean, loses some supers.
He's got plenty.
But,
yeah, he's got
he'll be
plenty. This is more than enough. I mean, it's 15-18. You figure new route, you're coming in here. Like if you're doing new route and you're doing the absolute optimal 15-10, you're gonna have 15-10. So. You might actually be feeling a little bit behind because of the Shaktool check.
Yeah, I mean, I was also just thinking about the time it takes to fire the charge shots compared to supers, but I mean, it's it's close enough at least. You will have looks like yeah 8 supers, so 8 super street missiles. You'll need 51 additional shots for this fight.
Okay, Travertalk's about to enter his Ridley fight. We got a Ridley and a Mother Brain at the same time. It's a very blue Mother Brain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and the onion rings changed color also.
Yep. Okay, here comes the ketchup.
Oh no. It reminds me of those colored ketchup
Yeah.
back in the day.
I was just thinking about that because like that's definitely not ketchup colored in this palette. You can't do stand up on 6 tanks. Wouldn't want to do it without plasma anyway. And Asher's through Mother Brain too. Yeah, Garaptas looking okay on the Ridley fight. Looks like he's taking quite a bit of damage, but should still be fine. Firing off those missiles very ineffectively though right now. Okay, Ridley down for traffic talks. We'll also get some high jump boots.
Ooh, the Metroid. Okay, I guess the palette thing just changes before it gets
Yeah,
damaged.
I don't know how that works. But it's definitely changed colors mid cutscene. So to answer chat about what minors weren't checked, what mages weren't checked. We didn't see Firefly, we didn't see Gauntlet, and we didn't see Screw Attack, and we didn't see Plasma. I believe that's
Yeah, and
it.
the attic.
Right, Attic and Bowling, and sorry, the Gravity Suit item. So 2 items in Wreck Ship. So there's actually still quite a few locations that we never got to.
Yeah, I think Traptoss just grabbed every single tank available.
Pretty much.
Because
I mean, he was doing
believe
Hell
there's-
Run, so it made sense.
Yeah. There's still two reserves and a couple E tanks.
We're gonna see the Firefly item right now. And it's just a reserve tank. So Azure was smart to skip it. It's a nice spark out through the climb.
I mean, I would not be surprised to answer chat if Plasma was a Gauntlet, since
Certainly
I
could have been. Yeah.
charge and Plasma often tend to be there just because it can't be suits.
Right, and we do have a finish as you're finishing up with an official SRO time of 54:53. GG's to Asher, and Travatox doesn't feel like finishing off. I can't say I blame, so he has decided to forfeit from the race.
GG. It was a it was a good race. Both players played well, but I mean, just the seed pretty much just favored what the Asher's decisions that he made.
And looks like Asher's going to join us. You can see the discussion in the SRL as Travatox tries to figure out, because their routes were really similar, but the big difference being the croc skip and just the reset out of the Bubble Mountain items. And Asher is joining us now. GG's.
Hello.
So I see Travatox looks like he's trying to figure out what the big difference is. There were actually two big differences. They all involved Upper Norfair. It was interesting that you both decided to go all in on those hell runs early on. He went a little bit more all in because I believe he took the save at Bubble Mountain and then did Croc right afterwards and got Spring Ball and a bunch of E-Tanks. And I really liked what you did, which was once you saw it was all E-Tanks at Bubble Mountain, you just reset.
I started regretting that decision a little bit because then I started to notice my super count was approaching 30, and then I was just like, oh, what if I get a Ridley fight and it would have been possible to do if I get the E-Tanks?
Yep. Yeah, that was I think the one drawback. It didn't work out that way, so I guess you were a little fortunate, but...
Yeah, I was relieved that all the bosses were where they were, honestly. I think it worked out for me. I was a little bit worried. I think Fantine was at Kraid. I was a little bit worried.
Yes.
When I got there, because I chose to go down and do Upper Norfair first. And then I was afraid that, oh, maybe the boss was doable and it was just Faria, and maybe like if it was Fantine, maybe he chose to go all the way up first, and didn't do any of Upper Norfair. So, but I figured that. High jump and ice are at least good checks, and then after I did them, I was just like, well, I'm taking this save, and Bubble Mountain's really fast and doesn't take much energy with these items, so 3 quick major checks before a boss.
Yeah, Space Jump Screw Attack is really nice in Hell Runs.
Yeah, Trav actually lost some time there also because he did not check ice until after the very last location.
I was kind of hoping that was Space Jump, right? Yeah, I was hoping that he did something slightly different from me. That, like, maybe he didn't check Norfair. Maybe he didn't check Upper Norfair first, so he missed out on Space Jump. I was hoping something like that would slow him down because I felt confident that I was making probably the most sensible plays that I needed to make, because like I had basically as much information as possible that Varia was not south of where I was, except maybe at Croc, and I was willing to risk Croc, but I was being very conservative otherwise, and I was wondering, oh, what if he just went right direct ship? Like, the seat was really stressful.
Yeah, I mean, if Barry had been at Croc or the Crady tank, which he checked you didn't, then we've got a different race, certainly a closer race. I was a little surprised you did Shaktool. But
like it was,
of course, that was your third E-Tank, I think, so I guess you kind of needed it.
So Shaktool, I had done, I had checked everything. Like basically what I was saying just now is, I knew I had checked every major that was south of where I was, except for Croc, and so I was, maximizing my certainty that going direct ship was going to be the thing to do, and hopefully he either went up first and got walled there, or went down and did Croc where I didn't, or something like that.
Did you consider the Kraid E-Tank before?
I did. That was going to be one of the last things I did.
Okay, that makes sense. I kind of guessed that Croc would be the very last thing you did, since you made it a point to skip it the way you did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright,
I mean, I think
Go
it's
ahead.
just from where the the lack of tanks from the beginning, reading the logic, because I think this was the first season where instead of sticking to either a randomized speed or making it variable speed, all speeds are available.
Yep.
So I mean, given that this looked to be pretty fast, given where since Fanto's at Kraid, then that's kind of telling the seeds telling you to go to the ship. So I mean, given that there are 4 checks there, it does make most sense to just might as well go there and skip the slower checks.
I mean, all the hell runs I did were in logic, because speed
Yeah.
lets you do speed lets you
Let's
do
do speed.
speed and Croc, and maybe Norfair Reserve with just 2. I'm not sure about Norfair Reserve actually.
Yeah, well, you had 3 available because you skipped the reserve tank.
Yeah.
And then speed, I think, was an energy tank, so that puts all the other ones in logic. So yeah, it was kind of a weird bit of logic for the hell runs, but yeah, you're right. They did end up being in logic. I often forget about speed changing exactly the speed hell run.
But yeah, I think in Boss Rando, there's a lot more calls that someone could theoretically make that would be pretty sensible. So it's sometimes hard to predict where other people are going to go, and
Yeah, absolutely.
it's hard to predict whether the path that you're on is going to shake out in your favor or not. So it was stressful, and I know Traffic Talks doesn't have as much experience with Randomizer as I do, but he's pretty close to my any percent time on the leaderboard, and we've had some really close races in other tournaments. So
you sure have.
And my execution was a little sloppy in some places, more than I would have liked. So whenever I make mistakes like that really feels really bad. I always worry that with an opponent that I'm close to, it's like some of those mistakes are just going to be the tipping point.
Right. Anything else you want to add before we close this out?
No, I think that's it. GG's. Yeah, that was fun. I'm glad we didn't get like an outright terrible seed. Like, a lot of the boss randos this week have been
we've
really
seen
bad.
some doozies for sure. All right. So yeah, thank you to Azure for joining us, and to both runners for racing. If you have not already followed these guys, please go ahead and do so. And Plump's beating me to the command. And of course, we do have more races coming up. Oh, and I also want to shout out our tracker. We had Scoopgla on the tracking today. Definitely need to shout him out, because that's such an important job, and we definitely can't give enough credit to our trackers, because they just do a lot of work for us, and can't do this without them. We do have other races coming up. At 5 o'clock, we have Lenifus versus Antinomy. That'll be Green Boomerang Fan Club versus the Good Boys. At 7 o'clock, we have the other side of that. We have Sloaters versus Stump, the Good Boys versus Green Boomerang Fan Club. At 9 o'clock, we have Ludicrous versus 64-Bit Link. That would be the Cooked Aussies versus Gravity Skip. At 10 o'clock, we have Crackle Van versus Shy Guy Fan Club. That's Bonus versus Yargle Bargle. And at 11 o'clock, we have the Cat Jammers versus Order of the Elephant. That'll be Stashio Cat versus Slow Guy. So I hope you all tune in for all those races. But yeah, that'll do it for us. And again, thank you to Plumst and to Goopila and to our runners. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.